So we're going to actually live stream today to our YouTube channel, which is why I'm mic'd up. And what that means is that if you ask a question, give me a chance to repeat it. If I don't repeat it, call me out, because there might be somebody on YouTube that has the exact same question. Okay, so today we're going to talk about our transition away from DocuSign and into Lone Wolf Transact. So I want to preface this by saying at the most basic thing, and it just really needs to sink in. DocuSign as you know it goes away July the 14th of this year. Meaning, when you try to log in, it's going to say, what account? If you have any documents in there, how long are we supposed to keep documents for in the state of Texas as licensed agent? 4 years. Law says keep everything 4 years, minimum. If you want to do 7, you can't. That's actually the IRS. So you can't go wrong if you're thinking 7. But you need to, is somebody vacuuming?
I thought it was outside.
Wow, okay. So remember, we're doing everything we can to keep our versions of transactions, but if you didn't turn it into command, that doesn't necessarily mean that we have it as the brokerage, okay? So I know the compliance checklist is a minimum list of documents, and I'm guilty of this myself. I'll give what I need to get everything through, get it paid. That amendment that flies later on, I don't necessarily upload that to the broker, which first off, that's wrong, okay? But second off, it's realistic. So if you are a current DocuSign user, and I think most of us are, my advice to you is to do 2 things. Go into rooms.docusign.com. The rooms part is very important. Otherwise, it just takes you to old school DocuSign. Rooms.docusign.com. Go into each one of those rooms that you have. Select all, download. That will put them into a zip file and download them to your hard drive. That's the first step. The second step is, has anybody raised your hand if you've had a hard drive fail on you? Is it fun? No, it's not. And when you have the law saying you have to keep documents, you have a document retention policy, you can't afford to let something die on a hard drive. So step 2 is find some other type of cloud storage somewhere and upload that there as well, so that you have it in multiple locations, right? So we all have a Google Drive as part of our KW world. You're welcome to utilize that. I personally use Proton, but Proton costs some money. Not trying to sell anybody Proton here, but I like them because I know for a fact that they're not selling that data off to anybody, right? If you want to talk about Proton, I can show you how that works later, but it's really not the point of this class. So do we have any questions so far on DocuSign?
You say go to Rooms to download all of them. Go to where?
Rooms.docusign.com. That's the direct access to DocuSign. Okay? Great.
How to download it.
Go into each one of your little rooms, select, and you can select all. I like the list view for this, by the way. There's a list view option. Select all, hit the download from the pop-up. Okay, it'll take you 20 minutes. It's not that big a deal. So it's a first step that you can take to protect yourself going forward. Okay, so now let's move on to what you're seeing on the screen right now. This is kwmike.com. This is just a simple link tree that I've put together. And I'm showing you this because those top 2 things right there are pretty important. We're going to dive into the top one right now. But this second option down that says Lone Wolf Transact Transition Guide, that is a guide that the region put together that talks about what dates to start doing things. And you'll notice some of those dates are in the past, right? Additionally, in that transition guide, there's a link in there to Zoom training that the region is holding every Monday and every Friday until July 14th at 2 p.m. to repeat what you're going to learn here. Not quite as much as I'm going to teach you, but close. So if you want a refresher, you can go to one of those, You can go to our YouTube page as well and you'll get this video. Okay? And then the last thing is, today you are welcome to follow along. However, since this is going on YouTube, if you get behind, I cannot stop the class for you to catch up. So it's okay if that happens. If it does, eyes up here, right? Eyes up on the screen. I'll make sure you know everything you want to know. Okay. Let's talk about, this is that first link, the workflow. That is this is an answers.kw.com article. I would highly recommend you save this page, because this is absolutely what it says. It's the full workflow. So it's going to start here with how to set it up. And then the second part of this is the actual transaction workflow. I'm going to demo all of this to you today. So you're going to see how this works, okay? But this is the written guide going forward. So if you're the type of person that maybe you don't like to watch videos, maybe you like to read the book, that's okay. This is the book, all right? So I've already created and logged into my Lone Wolf account, which means I cannot show you the process. So I'm just going to click in here and I'm going to make sure you understand what you're going to do. So everybody's going to start in command. If you're on a team, you need to be in your personal business part of command to start with. And you're going to go to your drop down up here in the top right corner. And you're going to go click on settings. Then you're going to scroll down to where you see the Lone Wolf. And you're going to click the green Connect Account button. Once you click on that, you're going to get a pop-up right here that says Lone Wolf. Don't try to log in. You're going to click Sign Up. Sign up. You can then put in whatever email address you want. If you want to use the KW one, you're welcome to. If you want to use something else, you can use that too. It does not matter. It doesn't have to be a particular domain name. Once that goes through, you're going to get a verification code that you're going to have to go check from your email and put the verification code in place. Once you've hit continue here, it's going to take you to the Lone Wolf Transact Command Edition. And at the very top of the screen, can you see my pointer here? Can y'all see that? Do you make that? I'll make that a little bigger. Here we go. At the top of the screen, you're going to see a very pale, easy to miss yellow bar at the top that says your dashboard isn't fully set up, and it says complete setup to unlock. You're going to want to click the complete setup. And once you get in there, it's going to ask you, what's your name? What's your phone number? What state are you in? When you select Texas, it's going to give you a list of all the MLSs in Texas. You're going to pick Netris, which is, by the way, spelled out. So it's, don't look for Netris. It's North Texas Real Estate Information something or other. System. Yeah, that's it. Okay? And then your agent ID, which is your Texas license number. That does not have the new suffixes. So you don't have to put in -SA, -BA. That's not really a thing. Okay? Once you're done with that, your account is now created. You can even close the window. Right? That's how the setup actually works. If you find glitches in this, I just want to say I've had some trouble with Firefox. If you're a Firefox user, I've heard some reports of it not working very well. So remember, the golden rule of real estate technology is use a Chromium-based browser. So that's going to be things like Chrome, Brave, Comet, right? There's a ton of them out there. Chrome is the one that the world is tested on, though. So there you go. Mac users with Safari, I have no idea if this works. I'm so done with Safari myself, and I'm teaching you from a Mac today. So if you're on a Mac and something's not working, first thing to do, switch to get out of Safari and try it again in Chrome. Okay? Questions at this point? Awesome. So let's actually put this into action, and I'm just going to start with a transaction. So there is a direct access way to get to Lone Wolf. However, you're much better off starting a transaction from within the command opportunity. The reason why you want to do this, really comes later on when it comes time to process your compliance docs. If you'll do this method I'm going to teach you, you do not have to download from one platform to upload to another. It'll direct link them. And all the information that's coming from command will populate automatically in Lone Wolf, so it will save you some time. Okay? So here we go. We're going to go ahead and create an opportunity first. Let's do a listing. All right, so let's find somebody that I can use as a demo. Here we go. We'll use Peter and Joanna. My Office Space people will understand that. Okay, so let's call this a listing demo. All right. Now, I'm not going to actually put in the information for the address right now because I'm going to show you a second way to do it. But if you're taking a listing, this would be a good time to go ahead and put in your property information because it will port over into Lone Wolf for you. Okay, so now that we've got our opportunity created, we do need to go into the documents section, which is right here. And the first thing we can do is pick our checklist type. Now this is pertaining to what type of property you're listing. So are you going to pick residential? Is it just a referral? Is it commercial, new construction? I've got several lists in here. So for today, we'll just do a standard good old residential listing. When we do this, it loads the compliance checklist. Now, something that's important to understand, I think most of you guys in this room understand this, but I just want you to know, these are not the documents. All these are placeholders. Think of them as reminders to tell you what documents you need to go get signed. The documents do not live in here until they're signed, right? This is how you give your documents that are signed to the brokerage, all right? But what it does do is defaults to our listed folder over here. And on the right-hand side, the central part, it's going to show you, well, what's required? Well, we know that an information about brokerage services required, listing agreement, right? Maybe a 1412, that's conditional. Wire fraud, general information, minerals, affiliated business arrangement, seller's disclosure notice, okay? One quick thing about the seller's disclosure notice. Where do we get our seller's disclosure notices from? Seller's Shield. So I have purposely not included seller's disclosure notices in my template library that I built for you guys because I don't want you using them here. I want you to use the template. I want you to use Seller's Shield, right? Does everybody know why? It's called liability. We don't want for you to have, we don't want you to have to defend yourself, right, for giving advice to a seller on how to fill out a seller's disclosure. And if you need to know how to do that, you can click this link right here. See how this is underlined? If you see a compliance item that's underlined, that's actually a hot link that's going to take you to how to actually get that document. Okay? Now, we're going to now click our black button over here that today says sync with e-sign provider. I think on the 14th, DocuSign is going to go away, so it'll just say start in Lone Wolf. Sorry, y'all. So we're going to pick Lone Wolf Transact. Here's an important thing to note. If you mess up and click DocuSign here, you can't come back and change it. You have to archive the opportunity, which is done with the 3 dots in the top right corner, and go recreate the opportunity again. All right, so we're going to select Lone Wolf. It's going to launch a Lone Wolf tab, and it should automatically log you into whatever account you were logged into last time, which for y'all should only be 1. Now, I just love that I got this pop-up. It's saying, hey, Mike, what account do you want to use? Do you want to use your account or the transaction command edition? Who's a zip form user today? Nobody's a zip form user. Okay. If you're a zip form user, you're probably going to see a choice of accounts because zip forms is Lone Wolf. They are the same thing. They look a little different, but they're the same thing. So if you get this pop-up, you're going to pick Transact Command Edition. All right, now let's talk about what just happened. What just happened is client information, all the data that I had in my opportunity, just got pushed over here into Command and into Lone Wolf, excuse me, and Lone Wolf has started the transaction. DocuSign people, you would know this as a room. This is the same thing as a room, all right? The main difference between here and what you've seen in DocuSign is that you now have 3 subfolders called Listed, Under Contract, and Closed, which, if you'll recall, the compliance checklist is also called Listed, Under Contract, and Closed. So what I want to show you, if you have a listing, you can come over here to Import Property Data, and you can start looking up property information with either an MLS number, which on a listing you wouldn't have, but you would on a buyer, or you can go to Tax Source and start typing in an address. So let me find an old thing I did here. So see if it'll find it. I don't know if that's right. Look at that. So there it goes. It finds the property address. And if I click on property here, it finds more than you think. Look at that. It's even got the legal description in there. So pretty cool. And you know, you could take the time if you want, like go over here to parties, make sure everything looks right. So here's seller, me, and look at this. The listing broker says Lone Star DFW. It doesn't say Keller Williams Lone Star DFW. So if you need to make a change, and click Edit here, and I can change that to Keller Williams. We don't know why it's doing this, but we're catching Lone Wolf do this. It just takes off the Keller Williams for some reason. So that might be something to check into. But no problem. If I need to change spelling, if I need to change an email address, I can do it all here in the Parties section, okay? So now we're going to click the back button that goes back to the paperwork. Now we're going to go in and add our documents. There's 2 ways to do it. You can add every document you want manually here with Add Paperwork, and I'm going to show you that next. When you're signing up a new client, I've got an easy button for you. Would you like to know what it is?
Yes, please.
Yes, okay. This is the hardest thing to remember. These 3 dots in the top right corner, because it's not labeled. Click the 3 dots. You'll get a pop-out. Apply Template is one of those. If you go down and choose Templates, you're going to see a list of templates in here. This is going to include every template that you have made, because you can make your own templates, and every template that I have made for you. So let's say right now we're going to do a residential listing traditional. It will say office next to it in a little pill. So that's what matches what we're doing. We're going to choose this, and we're going to choose apply. And now there are all the documents already done. And what's even better is if I start clicking on them, so let's click on the IABS. Who loves filling in an IABS from Virgin every time?
Oh, yeah.
Well, look who doesn't have to. All you got to do is put in your license number. There you go. I went ahead and filled out all the broker information, all the static data on all the forms that I think you guys are likely to use. This will save you time, but if you don't apply a template, you have to work with Virgin forms, so they're just going to have nothing in them, okay? So now we have the IABS completely filled out. Now we can click Save, and we can click back if we want to and go to the next one. So here's the next power trick. Since we know we have a whole bunch of documents to sign, I don't know about you, but I want to spend as little time doing this as possible. So I don't want to hit Save, back, pick the next, Save, back, pick the next. So instead, I'm going to come to this left-hand bar where it says Grab from Transaction, and I'm just going to start clicking these little plus buttons here. And what it's going to do is all those other docs that we have added, it's going to start adding them into this little chain of documents here. So I've clicked all the pluses, and now if I scroll down, here's my next one. And yes, I included the final offer seller agreement. You don't have to get it filled out if you don't want to. You can go delete it if you don't want to use it. But if you want to use the final offer tools, and I think it's a great tool, considering it costs nobody anything, go ahead and send this out for signature now so that you don't have to do it in a second signing later. All right, so we just go through here and fill all this stuff out. Here you go. All right. Once you get everything filled out, we're going to pretend we did all that. We hit save. You can go straight here to prepare signing. That's how you go get them signed. So we'll do that. And now you're going to get another pop-up that says, hey, we're going to use DocuSign. DocuSign is the actual mechanism. The signing name, this is what our DocuSign people would call an envelope. And it's always going to put the first document in there. So in the case of a whole stack of documents, I might type through that and say, this is a listing agreement, right? And then the return folder. This is asking you, hey, when these come back signed, what folder would you like me to automatically shuffle them into for you so you can stay organized? Well, we're going to choose listed because that's the documents that we're signing now. And now we hit create. And that's the first step, right? We've filled all of our documents out. Now we're going to send them in for signature. Yes, I see a question.
Those folders that you just selected from, are those names able to be changed?
Okay, the question was, the folders that I just saw, can we change their name?
Can we add on?
You can add new ones. I wouldn't go trying to change their name.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so now we are at the actual signing part. Just like we had to do in DocuSign, we're going to need to add our signers. And we're going to do that by clicking the green button that says Add Participants. And we're going to choose to add from the transaction. This is going to grab all of our people. So here's seller, seller, and me. We're going to say Select. And it's at this point that the signature blocks get added into the documents. See all those down there? I'll show you another thing that's pretty cool. I can go back again and say Add Participants, and I can add a new participant, and maybe we'll call this a title company. All right, so we'll add them as a person. We can even say that they're an escrow company. And assign signer type, we're just going to say CC for carbon copy and say Save. Now what happens is, after everybody signs, this person gets a carbon copy of the signed documents already. And honestly, that's so important nowadays with all the wire fraud going on out there. Y'all, I know a lot of you have heard me say this, but if you haven't, this is a very important thing to do going forward. Please don't send contracts to anyone, including a title company, including a lender, through email. Email is not secure. Yours might be secure, but that doesn't mean that somebody hasn't hacked the destination or the other agent or one of the sellers or one of the buyers or the title company. Who knows? When you go sending documents off, if there's somebody watching one of those email accounts, they now know the execution date. They know the date of closing. They know exactly when to send fraudulent wiring instructions. Okay? Use these e-signature platforms to send important documents. I know it's a little bit of a headache, but it's not nearly as big of a headache as watching someone lose hundreds of thousands of dollars. And as a lot of you know, we've seen that happen. And thanks to some really good work on the part of one of our agents about a month ago, we got real close to $900,000 getting lost. Got real close. Fortunately, our agent had discussions with their buyer about the importance of verifying wiring instructions. Had they not, we might have seen the biggest one I know of happen. So this is important stuff.
So you're saying that we can add the other agent here?
You can certainly add other agents in here, yes. So the other thing you can do is you can set a signing order. Now, by default, Lone Wolf does not care, unlike some other document programs, it does not care who signs what or when or where, right? Everybody can sign at the same time. It doesn't matter. However, there might come a time when you don't want that. And if that's the case, you can click the little switch here to set the signing order. And all you do is reshuffle them right here. Just grab the dots and you can put them in whatever order you want. Or you can change your mind and shut it off. If you are in the coaching program, you might want to add a participant here. And it might be your coach. Right? And our coach will get a reviewer. Basically what that means is, and if we put our coach in here in signing order so that they get it first, nobody gets anything until our coach gets a chance to review your documents. So that's an option for you. Okay?
Is there something she's actually supposed to do to continue to forward?
Once she reads it, it automatically will go to the next person. Yeah, once she's read it and acknowledge that she's reviewed it. That's all she has to do. Now, let's say we want to, well, never mind, I don't want to do that. So I'm going to take her off. I'm just going to click on her name and I'm going to say remove from signing. I can turn this all off and here we go. Okay? Now, you'll notice that there was an add from contacts. You can add contacts in, not inside the transaction, but inside of Lone Wolf. If it's somebody that you use over and over and over again, you can go add that person in there. So if you've got a favorite title company, right, so you can just add your favorite title company in there, whatnot. Favorite lenders, all that stuff, okay? All right, so at this point, most of the heavy lifting needs to be done or is done, but this is our chance to go through and make sure that everything's right, okay? Now, you might come across where something isn't quite right. And that's because this is still early and we do see some form errors. So this is going to get even better than it is today. But just so you know, be watching these. This is your last chance to go through and make sure everything's like you want it. Like here's an example. Peter is on here twice. I don't know why that's the case. So this is one I got to look forward into. So what I might do instead is come through here to Tools. These tools are where you go and add fields for signature. So I might want to grab Joanna, see, this is her, and drag her full name here instead. Okay, let's keep going.
What happens if you put it over that name instead of above it? Will it, like, okay, just
Yeah.
a second, I was just trying to see what.
So let's talk about that. See this markup down here?
Yes.
I can hit strike through, and I can come over here and strike through that. So you can do stuff. So if you do, I see a lot of agents that'll do that with a quick edit to an offer, right? So like let's say I needed to have someone initial that. I come over and just drag an initials over here. And then I come over to the next party, Peter, and I grab an initials over there, right? That's how you would do an edit. And if I need to add a text box, I click here to text box, and I click where I want it to go, and I can type in stuff. Okay, that's how you do an edit.
Where's the back button or delete, like if you wanted to remove that line?
So if I don't want this anymore, I just highlight it, and it will bring up on this right-hand side, I can say delete. Same thing, I can delete anything I want to in here.
Simple.
Okay? If I need to, well, people have a lot to talk about. Okay, here we go. This MSA notice. This is changing, by the way. You'll have a new version of this soon. That's why I haven't fixed this one yet. But you'll notice that there's a service selection here. Let's say I want to make sure that Peter here decides they're going to select, do I want this or do I not want this? You can make this, you can either select this yourself, or you can assign a checkbox where they have to pick an option and they can't go any further if they don't. And that's done with this radio choice. If I just grab radio choice and I'm going to drag it over here to the top, it adds, see how it added the second one right there? Then I'm going to take the second one and I'm going to drag it over the next spot. And so now what that means is that our friend Peter has to pick either that or that. Okay? So as you can see, this did not bring fields over. So I'm going to switch to Peter here, and I'm going to add a sign here. And when I release, it adds an auto date, but it's movable. So see how date is on this line, but if I wanted to move the date, I can drag it anywhere I want it. If I need to add his name, same thing. I'm just going to drag, and it's going to go ahead and pre-put his name over there. So we'll move to the other person, signature and date, full name. Here's another cool trick. If you forgot to sign something, or if you got to add your own signature to something, you can pick myself and grab a sign here. And when you release, you'll get an acknowledgement. And there you go. So you can actually pre-sign documents because you are in here working, so they figure that's what you're doing. Okay? What questions about this do we have?
Simple.
Yeah, I know there's some form issues, right? Like, here we are again. Like, here, I need to figure out what's up. There's some issues here that came over, and I don't know what that is. I'll investigate it. Peter shouldn't be here twice. But here we go. So I'll put...
One and two signature.
It usually does.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be a tech class if we didn't have some kind of a snafu. Right?
It's
And
nice that you can just drag it over. That makes
yes, and look at the color. It's blue.
sense. Right.
No more ugly black. You know that was the leading gripe I got with DocuSign? It's not pretty blue. That and the date was 3 miles long. I'm not going to miss the date field, man. So something else I want you to know. I love this thing. I love this when it's my person that's going to execute a document, right? Like execute a contract. What I'll do is I'll take whoever my last person that I know is going to sign, and I'll grab over here to this auto date. Everybody see auto date? I can come over here and click and drop auto date right there in the execution field. I can even put auto time if I want. And whenever they sign it, the system stamps the date in there. So now we have an executed document. So we don't have to go, once it's signed, we don't have to come back through and re-add all that information in. It's just there. Okay? When we're done marking everything up, putting everything in here, we just simply click next. It's going to give you this. Hey, this expires on the 9th. So what is that, 24 hours? They have 24 hours to sign. You might want to change that if you know it's going to take longer. I really like this though, because if I have pre-filled a date instead of using auto date, right? Because some of our forms are like that. I don't want to have a date mismatch.
No, that expires in 12 minutes because today it's a whole month.
Yep.
That's next month. And
Oh, it is. It's a month, isn't it? But I could make that a day. All right, and then we hit send. And now what happens is it backs us all the way out to the signings section. Look at the top. Here's paperwork. This is what we already worked with. Remember, this looks good. See that? Signings. Well, we now have a signing. This is what we used to call an envelope. Our status is sent. 0 of 3 people have signed it. If I hover over the I, it tells me who hasn't signed it yet. It gives me the option to resend it out because inevitably, do we ever hear that, agents? Do we ever hear that? I never got it. Okay, I'll resend it. Now, what if you go, oh my God, I sent this out and I made a big, huge mistake? Has that ever happened or is it just me? So here's how you get past that. Remember the meatballs. That's the technical term for 3 dots. Click the meatballs and you're going to hit the reset option. What reset does is it unsigns everything. So if anybody has signed anything, it unsigns it and it takes you back a level right here so you can go make changes in here. Okay? By the way, you can print documents from this menu right here. So if you are working with somebody who you think wants to wet sign everything, it's no problem at all. You can do this here. You can even do it back in the paperwork section, unlike DocuSign. This was much easier. You can download them, you can save this and come back later. You can do all this stuff.
So I'm sure if you can reset all of them, you can reset only one of them. For example, if only one document needed to be.
Nope. If it's once a document goes, once one of these signers goes, signatures goes out, if you hit reset, it resets the entire stack. Yeah. Okay. So now I want to show you. We're going to go back to the paperwork section. Whenever these come back signed, your not filed section is still going to be here. All the forms that you sent out are still going to be here. And if you look closely, you'll see a little blue form on the icon next to it. These forms are alive. They stay alive, right? When they come back signed, they will be in the listed category, but they won't be a form anymore. There'll be a little red mark here that says PDF. That is the signed version. The reason that this is done this way is, well, okay, has anybody ever had a house, let's say you're representing a buyer, and you send an offer out, and it doesn't get accepted, right? So you got to keep shopping, and then it comes time to go and send another offer out. With some signature programs, you have to go back to the library, download another 1 to 4, pre-fill everything out there again. In this one, all you got to do is go right back into that 1 to 4 because it's still there, and just make the changes that you need, or come over here and change the property information, and it will change it automatically in there for you, so you have less work to do. Because I always hated when you make, like this was a dot loop thing. You make one mistake on a form in dot loop, you got to go re-download a whole new form, and you wind up with a whole bunch of extra forms. You're like, which is the one that was like real? Okay? And the fact that when these come back, it automatically shuffles them into the correct folder helps you stay organized, right? So let's show you how to add singular documents, okay?
One question.
You can certainly ask a
So,
question.
Let me digress back on that reset.
Okay.
Are you saying once everything is signed, can we or can we not go back to one individual document and make a change?
You can go back in the paperwork section
Okay, yeah,
and make the change and send it back out.
okay, good.
Okay,
Okay. I was just trying to make sure we didn't have to reset everything
yeah.
to send everything back. Okay.
And by the way, while we are discussing staying clean and organized, you know, there comes a time in a transaction where you're just kind of waiting on closing. You're probably don't need to look at all these forms anymore. You don't have to archive forms anymore in Lone Wolf. I can just flip the little caret over here on not filed, and it will collapse that subfolder, and it takes them off of my view. And you'll notice the caret is upturned. And you can just toggle that on and off, right? I love that. So let's add some singular documents. We're going to show you both ways to do it. So that's going to be done by adding paperwork. So I believe that for most of us, we're going to, once we start writing offers or, you know, letting amendments fly or whatnot, we're going to do it 1 or 2 docs at a time. You can make templatized versions of docs if you want. That's up to you, okay? But you don't have to. We're going to click Add Paperwork now, and we're going to get this pop-up. This pop-up is giving us a choice. Do I want to add a form in the form libraries or a document by uploading it? So let's say we're going to let's just create an offer, shall we? So we're going to select Form Libraries. The next drop down are all the libraries you have access to. So you will have Market Center 163. These are all the forms that Go Network has written or that our Market Center has. These are the ones that cause the most rejections from compliance, because that's where the MSA disclosure is. That's where our apartment lease invoice lives. This is where the Go Network buyer rep lives. That's all in here, okay? If you're not using Lone Wolf, this is the only place that we as the brokerage can manage forms for you. If you're using .loop, you're on your own. You can do it, but you have to maintain your own foreign libraries. If you're using a non-KW version of DocuSign, meaning an e-signature that you're self-funding, you have to maintain your own documents. I don't know why you would do it, because it's not any easier, okay? And it's certainly not any cheaper. I also want to call your attention to the Texas Realtors. The Texas Realtor Library contains all the TAR forms and the TREC forms. Even though, like, there's a TREC library that contains only TREC forms, the TAR, the Texas Realtors, contains them all. So for me, I'm either going to 163, meaning our forms, or Texas Realtors. The Netris does have some forms in it. So if you're doing like a commercial lease input form, you know, the MLS input form, does anybody make their people fill that out? Okay, if you do, that's where you'll find it. So we'll go to Texas Realtors. The 1 to 4 is really easy to find because it starts with a 1, so alphabetically it's right here. We're just going to add it. So I clicked add and it now dropped it in. But let's say we want to find a third-party financing. I'm going to come to the search bar and type in third. The search on this is super fast. So I'm just going to find third party and say add. Okay, what if I needed to find an appraisal addendum? Okay. I'm going to start typing in appraisal, and here's my appraisal addendum. So I'm going to grab these 3 forms. I've now added them all there. But while we're here, let me show you how to upload a PDF. So listing agents, let's say you receive an offer from an agent in PDF format. Happens a lot, right? Like every time. Now we're going to click upload, and we're going to bring up our file browser here. And we're just going to pick, here we go. We'll just pick a form. So now I've selected it, I say upload it, and now it's closed the box, and you'll see I now have the 1 to 4, the third-party financing, the appraisal addendum, and as I come in through here, just like I did before, I can fill them all in here with the exception of the 1 to 4. See how it says PDF right there? Right. So this is how it's going to look, and if I click on this, it's just going to show me a PDF. So we'll go through this again. Let's take our 1 to 4. This is like we're going to receive an offer. I'm going to say I selected it. Now, do you remember when we first filled out documents, there was a button in the top right corner over here that said prepare signing? If I were to click on this in here, I could go into that, right? I could say prepare signing. Actually, I can't because this isn't a form. If this is a form, I'd have a prepare signing button up here. I got to be honest, most of the time when I send documents out, I'm selecting them here. I want to take these 3 documents and I can say sign. That's the other way. So let's just prepare this one. So now I'm going to hit sign, and this is like I've now created a signing. So this would be my offer docs, and I want this to come back into hopefully under contract because we're going under contract, right? And now we say create. This will sound familiar. This is you're gonna know right where you're at here. Okay? Does this look familiar? What do we hit next? Add participants. Now,
Oh, from transaction.
add from transaction.
Oh, okay.
Now, everybody that needs to sign, here we are. Actually, I don't need to sign. I'm not a party to this transaction. So we're going to add our people. Now what do we do? Well, I would say let's add, we're going to say from contacts. I don't know if I saved this or not, but let's see. Did I save Lynn? Nope, I never saved it. Okay. So we're going to say add new title company, right? We'll call it escrow. We'll say remote signer CC. Okay? So now we know that's going to be. And I would also go ahead and make seller 1, seller 2, because I want to make sure seller 2, that's the last person to touch the contract. That's when it executes. All right? So now we've got our participants added. Here's our document. We need to put our initials on. Where do I go? Tools. There we go. We're going to say tools. And now we're just going to cycle back and forth between our signatures right here with this drop down. So we'll start with Joanna. We'll drag an initials over here because that's our seller 1. And then we'll come over here to Peter, and that's going to be signature number, initials number 2. Move on down, initials number 2. Okay, and so on and so forth. Whoops, that's not what I want. So, okay, I added that by mistake. Let's fix that. There we go. Now we scroll down to the bottom. We're going to pretend we did all this because we don't want to take all day. Oh, here's something that's cool.
Yeah, it's a good text line.
And so Mike, you're just adding this here because this is the form you added. not-
Because this is a PDF.
Okay.
So, paragraph 21, notices, quick contract knowledge. What does our broker require to be here for all parties?
Client's information.
Email address. There has to be delivery email address. Well, we'll take our seller, what's our email? I'll just come over here and grab email addresses and drop that right there. There she is. And that's where we give notice at. Yes, this is the new contract. So here we go. We're going to say sign here for seller 1. We'll say sign here for seller 2. Right? And now we're going to say auto date, and I'm going to drag that right there. And when Peter signs it, it drops his execution date in here. And it sends it off to the title company once it's done. All in one thing. Gone are the days where you had to send it to one person, wait for them to sign it, then it would go to the next person, and it was always the first person who didn't know how to use a computer. And then once that got done, you had to bring it back in, convert it to a flat PDF, go in there and add a different, or convert it back to a .loop document, go ahead and add a date in there manually by, altering a signed document, which never sat well with me. And then you got to go send that off. No thanks, that took forever. And when do we execute contracts? Is it always dinner time, or is that just the Serban household? When I have a wife and kids that are like, hey, let's go eat. I mean, come on, what's the hold up here? I'm like, I got to wait because, I got to wait for signatures. This solves all that problem. Okay, good. Questions so far?
What is the, I had the question. How long are we contractually bound to Lone Wolf?
I do not have the answer to that. The question is, how long are we contractually bound to Lone Wolf? I don't know that answer.
Okay. I mean, I would hope it's a very long time, since it's very easy.
Yeah.
And not that short time that we had with DocuSign.
Yeah.
So, that's the only reason.
I don't know about your clients, but a lot of times mine don't look at their email. So you end up having to text them that you got a document.
Yeah.
Will this do that or not?
This is not going to text. The question was, will this send a text? I'm afraid it will not. Would be great.
It would.
And for some reason, My machine is acting up here. It doesn't want to move. Something's giving me trouble here, folks. While we're waiting on the computer to catch up to the class, does anybody have any other questions? All right. So we'll do this again.
I kinda do.
Okay?
So I did a lease as my first Lone Wolf
Ah, okay.
experience, and it was an experience. Because I had to add a text box to every line.
So-
Because there wasn't like a form kinda, or is there a form?
Okay, so the question was, what if I'm working with the lease and you're talking about the application, right? So here's how you handle a lease application with Lone Wolf. Come to your add paperwork. We're going to search for lease. Actually, you know what? We're going to search for application. And you'll notice that there's residential lease application 1, 2, 3, and 4 for agent. And then there's 5, 6, 7, and 8 for applicant. If you pick the one that says applicant, it makes the applicant fill out all that information. If you pick the one that says agent, it's making you fill all that out. So I don't know why anybody would ever choose the one that says agent, right? That's the easy button here. Right, so if I now go and take this lease application, and I can fill in what I want, and then when I send it off, it'll ask them to fill it out. Now listen, as far as leases go, there's no magic bullet here because fields are optional. If they want to skip a field, they will, and they do it all the time. Like, what breed is your dog? And they're like, I don't want to fill that out, and they think they're being sneaky because what's the rule with leasing? If they don't put they don't know what kind of dog breed they have, what breed of dog is it?
The worst.
It's a pit bull. And I have nothing against pit bulls. I think they're just as fantastic as everything else. And I don't get to make the rules. So the truth is, you know, even when you use this, there's still some optional fields in there. So leasing people, if you're dealing with prospective tenants, there's nothing wrong with printing. I could just go right here, click that, hit print, and print it off. Be like, hey, I need you to fill this out, right? I think that's the best practice for lease applications. And I also think that's the best practice for the Go Network buyer rep. I believe in having them wet sign the buyer rep. Now, I know that might strike some of you as crazy, given that I'm the tech guy. But the whole beauty of the Go buyer rep is that it's structured such that I go through each point with them and I make sure that they understand everything. And by the end of it, we're either in agreement on everything, including them paying for my fee if they have to, or we're not. But we don't have any unmet expectations, right? Unspoken expectations cannot be met. So, for what it's worth, e-signature is great, and it can really shoot you in the foot when it comes to a document that's creating an agency relationship, like a listing agreement, like a buyer rep agreement. It never hurts to do those face-to-face. Great question. What else do we have? So I went back, so here we are. I went back to transactions. And if you want to make your own templates, I'll just show you how you do it. You click the templates banner. You click add template. You can give it a name. Right? You'll have to choose an owner. There's only one. You can write yourself a note as to when you might use it. That's up to you. We're going to say create. And now it's going to bring the same thing we saw before. Add paperwork. And now I can go pick everything I want. So if I wanted to go make my own templatized version of a 1-to-4, I click that. I come in through here. I select it. And now I can go straight to page, I think it's 11 now. This isn't the new contract yet. But I could go templatize everything that I don't want to type out from deal to deal to deal. You can go make as many of these templates as you want, okay? If you're a transaction coordinator, I would suggest that you make a template for everybody on your team if you're writing their documents for them. I know that there's probably going to be some TCs reading this, So I'm so sorry that this is going slow today. But what you can do is you could make a document stack for, you know, the Bruce Henderson's listings, Bruce Henderson buyer, you know, and big listing, and big's buyer. And you can pre-fill the agent data for all that too if you want. This is just kind of a power trick for your UTCs or people who are doing templates for more than one person. You can go ahead and go crazy with templates all you want. Okay? But I think for the standard user out there, it's probably going to be unlikely because I've got the Office templates in there for you. Does everybody remember how to get to the Office templates? Remember I told you it was going to be hard to find, right? It's the 3 dots in the top right corner. And here we go. It's acting up on me again. So, all right, folks, I think I'm going to go ahead and end off our broadcast here. I just want to remind you that, you know, this is the worst today that it's ever going to be. So you might get some, you know, like we had a couple of little snafus in here where it wanted to repeat one of the sellers, right? You can go fix that by going back into the documents, that document section where we initially filled them, and type over it. You can make any changes you want in there. So just want to remind you of that. My email is tech@mygonetwork.com. You're always welcome to email me. That is the best way to reach me, everybody. Please email me. I vastly prefer emails to texts and phone calls. That way I know when I reply. Okay?